Today on World of Faceting Machines, we're looking at the traditional Quadrant handpiece system from the Czech Republic. This handpiece is one of the oldest faceting machine designs in the world. It consists of a wooden handpiece that is held in the left hand and contains a unique gearing assembly that's unlike any other type of faceting machine. Instead of using one index wheel with many teeth that can be adapted for any design, this handpiece has a different set of index rings for each design. This makes the faceting process quick and easy with no chance for error in the placement of facets. To understand the story behind this machine, we need to go all the way back to 1599, when a gem merchant named Thaddeus Mendick took a parcel of Bohemian garnets to Nuremberg, Germany for cutting, and on his way back he brought a table with a horizontal cutting wheel, which was a new device for Bohemia. We can see the type of table he might have had in this German drawing from 1557. Another source tells us that the ancient quadrant handpiece is said to have been the invention of a Frenchman by the name of Claudius Delacroix, who lived in Nuremberg in the 1590s, so it's likely that the table that came to Prague from Germany included this type of handpiece. We can see a drawing of the exact machine that was in use in the early Czech cutting industry here in this drawing from 1609, made by Anselmus de Boot, the royal mineralogist at Prague Castle. The king of Bohemia at this time was Rudolf II, and he was very interested in gemstones. In 1598, he gave the order to begin mining, cutting, and exporting Bohemian garnets. He started a cutting factory called the Imperial Mill, which was a water-powered mill that borrowed technology from the lapidaries of Idar Oberstein, Germany. Here we can see the inside of the factory in this painting from 1653. The background clearly illustrates the big gears that would have been connected to the water wheels outside, powering flat faceting laps as well as carving tools. In this model, we can see that inside the mill there were several different techniques being used for gem cutting. Some areas used the big German-style sandstone wheels for cutting and polishing large items, as we can see in this 20th century photo. In other areas, we see the modern-style flat faceting laps being used to cut the local garnets. The original 1609 handpiece was a simple device called a quadrant that went up and down on a vertical rod next to the lap. The stone was fixed on a dop and could be given a crude angle by adjusting the handpiece. Over time, the handpiece developed, and we can witness the changes here. The first modification was to remove the vertical rod and give the handpiece feet. This would have made the cutting faster and easier, allowing the cutter to cheat his index by shifting the feet. The second improvement was to add an index gear. It seems that the early index system used two gears with a rocker switch, which could select which gear you wanted to use. In the early 20th century, the gearing system got more complex, taking the number of gears up to 5. Next, the handpiece got more stable and strong by adding metal gears instead of the traditional wooden ones. Finally, we come to the handpieces that are used today, that are a combination of wood, metal, and even a bit of plastic, making the handpiece lightweight, fast, functional, and affordable at around $250 each. The modern technique starts with dopping the stone. First, wax is applied to the wooden dop stick and then the stone is added. Once the stone is centered, the dop is inserted into the handpiece and the first index ring is used to begin cutting. The rings are changed as the cutter progresses up each tier and then polishing commences. Traditionally, the cutting tables would have been hand-cranked, as seen in this 19th century double table painting, or sometimes foot-cranked, but today the machines are all electric. One of the most interesting things about the history of this machine is how it's influenced the cutting culture of other countries. We find an exact replica of de Boot's 1609 machine in Sri Lanka, which has been used for the last few hundred years and was only recently phased out with the introduction of modern machines in the 1980s. We also see a nearly identical copy of the quadrant being used today in Russia. This handpiece is becoming rare in modern-day Russia, but there are still a few cutters using the technique. The Russian quadrant looks identical to the Sri Lankan and early Czech one, moving up and down on the vertical rod. We see the machine appear in other parts of Europe as well. There are several drawings of French quadrants in the 1700s and 1800s, and here we see a rare German version of the handpiece after it was reintroduced to Germany in the 1880s. The modern Czech machine, as seen here, no longer uses the vertical peg except for cutting tables, and the cutter utilizes a 2-lap bench for cutting and polishing. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our other episodes on the Sri Lankan Quadrant handpiece as well as the water wheel powered gem cutting of Idar Oberstein. See you next time on World of Faceting Machines.